Welcome to Power Players. I'm ABC News Senior National Correspondent Jim Avila. And today we are going to talk a little bit about history between the United States and Cuba. Joining me is Josefina Vidal, who is the representative doing the negotiations between the United States and Cuba on the Cuban side. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Jim.
I wanted to talk to you first about the history of it all. You were standing in the second round of negotiations to talk to the press in front of a Cuban flag and a United States flag in the State Department, where for years, 5 decades, those folks had plotted to overthrow your government.
I think it was a sign of maybe a new stage, a new era we are trying to build in U.S.-Cuban relations after 54 years of no relations at all. This is the first time it happens that we visit the State Department in a different climate, in a different atmosphere.
How are you getting past the suspicion that has been built over 50 years?
We still have to overcome it. So it's a process to build confidence because we haven't had that confidence for many years. But the idea is to get there.
The United States, for 50 years, has been fascinated by Fidel Castro. Tell us what his current condition is and what he thinks about the United States and Cuba moving into a new era.
He has retired from government, but he has remained active. He has written recently about U.S.-Cuban relations. He has given his support.
It wasn't a full-throated endorsement.
But he said very clearly that the president of Cuba has all the prerogatives to do what he has been doing on matters concerning U.S.-Cuban relations. He believes that confidence has to be built between Cuba and the United States because this is what has been lacking.
So he has some suspicion, as many in the Cuban government do.
I think he has many reasons to have suspicions.
The motive for the United States still seems to be to affect change in Cuba, to ask Cuba to allow more freedoms for its people, to open up economically, and in fact to address some human rights issues. Is that sting when they say that every time?
We know that this is the way the United States government presents its policy towards Cuba, but what we believe is that we can respect each other's differences and at the same time work together on issues of common interest as neighbors.
Through engagement, we have a better chance of bringing about change than we would have otherwise.
So when you hear the President of the United States say that the most effective way to change Cuba is to open up to Cuba, is that a threat?
No, we can say otherwise, that the best way to achieve this kind of new relationship is that we both open up.
So if the lifting of the embargo happens, and the President has asked Congress to do that,
yes.
What is priority number one for Cuba as far as goods and services?
We need investment in Cuba.
Is Cuba going to be the new China?
China is a huge country with billions of people. And we are a small island in the Caribbean, so we can never make that comparison. We are looking at other models. For example, we have been studying what a small country like Singapore has been doing. But in summary, it's going to be a Cuban model.
And does that Cuban model remain at the core socialist? And of course, in the United States, what we always hear is that we should open up travel because the more Americans that go there, the more Cubans will be influenced, the better chance of change in Cuba. Are you concerned about that?
I don't think that because, you know, in Cuba we have a strong culture. Very rooted in the traditions of our people. And what we have seen with the increasing number of Americans who have been visiting already Cuba is that it is like a mutual process of influence. What I hope is that the best influence are the ones that prevail.
Thank you so much, Josefina.
Thank you, Jim.
For joining us.
Has been a pleasure.
And thank you for joining us on Power Players, and thank you for watching Yahoo and ABC News.